Hey guys, I just read another interesting article on the case of Darlie Routier. Somebody sent me a link to this article and I had never seen it before. It was written in December, I think, of 2018. And it just kind of surprised me, once again, to see what people are writing about that case. You know, there's a momentum building for people to really get into this idea that poor little Darlie was convicted all because of that silly string video. But that isn't why she was convicted. She was convicted of capital murder after the night that both of her children, her two older boys, Devin and Damon, were brutally stabbed. She claimed there was an intruder, but the physical evidence showed that the murderer was Darlie herself. So I want to run down just a couple of things from this article that I saw and just give you my opinion. The person who wrote the article said that media coverage at the time depicted Darlie as a psychopath, a heartless mother whose children were in the way of her lifestyle. So she killed them for money. This isn't true at all. The media coverage at the time actually did cover the silly string video. And I think there were a lot of people who watched that, including the prosecutor, who said, what kind of mother would be laughing and spraying silly string on her children's shared grave so soon after they were murdered? And remember, that silly string video may have only been like 30 seconds or 40 seconds long, but she stood there smiling and chomping her gum, as one juror so eloquently put it, talking with the reporter for what was it, like 45 minutes straight, with a big old smile on her face. The person who wrote the article said that there was an hours-long memorial that morning, but for some reason they didn't show that part of the video. Yeah, think about that. For some reason they didn't. What do you think that reason would be? Because so far, the little 20-second clip that they have released of that video, Darlie was walking around and plopping her butt in the grass while everybody else had their heads bowed in prayer for the boys. The person who wrote the article said that she was sobbing. Baloney. She was walking around looking bored as anything. I highly doubt there is any video of her sobbing, because I think if there was, then I think her highly skilled and experienced defense team would have presented it at the trial. The person who wrote the article said that Darlie and her husband were high school sweethearts. I am so tired of that one, let me tell you. Yeah, Darlie was in high school, and her soon-to-be fiancé was, I think, finishing up his senior year of high school. But they were not high school sweethearts. That's bunko. Darlie was 15 years old when her mother thought it was a great idea to go introduce her to her boss. I think he was the assistant manager at a restaurant where her mother worked. And the two of them fell in love when Darlie was 15. When she was 16 and on vacation with her future husband and his family, he proposed to her. 16 years old, and she said yes. And that's sweet. That is not high school sweetheart stuff. That is not a couple of high school sweethearts, okay? Yeah, was she in high school? Well, it sounds like she was barely in high school when her mother introduced her to him. But that's not what you think of when you think of high school sweethearts at all. By then, he was already on to whatever trade school or whatever he was attending. I mean, come on, people. The person who wrote the article said that they lived in an affluent area. Really? Because the house was something like $126,000. And my hunch is they probably had zero down payment, too. The person who wrote the article said that they had a new Jaguar. No, they didn't. It was an old, used Jaguar. And yes, that's a huge difference. A huge difference. Come on. They said that they, enjoyed the affluent lifestyle. And the person who wrote the article mentioned that they, bought a lot of jewelry. Yeah, at the pawn shop. And that they bought a cabin cruiser. Yeah, for zero down. What was it, 26 grand, I think, is what they paid for the cabin cruiser, which, by the way, was in need of repairs. And they bought it with nothing down. I mean, come on. And that whole affluent thing. Ugh. That house was not a mansion, let me tell you, at all. That price range, I think it would have been probably 1994. That price range does not equate to affluence, affluence, affluency, whatever, affluence. In fact, they were known by their neighbors as the Clampetts. So think about that. The person who wrote the article said that Darlie suffered from postpartum depression. Really? Because if you listen to everybody close to the case, they're like, she was totally normal. Darlie herself, totally normal, normal mother. Nope, she didn't have any problems. Of course, if you listen to one of her best friends, she'll tell you that she begged Darlie to get help. And Darlie told her that she didn't think it would look good in the custody battle down the road. The person who wrote the article said that Darlie was desperate to lose weight. No, she wasn't. Darlie was 10 pounds overweight, tops, if that. She had a few extra pounds on her from having the baby. Big flippin' deal. So the person who wrote the article said that she started taking some sort of a diet supplement that caused mood swings. I don't think so. If you do a little research, I don't think so. I don't think that's true. The person who wrote the article said that Darlie confided in her husband that she was having suicidal thoughts, and the two began talking and reviewing their future. This is so wrong. Oh my gosh. This is what happened. 4 weeks before she murdered her children, she couldn't get out of bed one day. She was crying and all upset. And she called her husband at work and said, come home. And he did. And at that point, she did say to him that she was having whatever issues going on. And he would later say that he became angry with her for how she was feeling, and the two of them never spoke about it again. I don't know. Those are just a few of the things I noticed. There are more, oh, this is strictly a circumstantial case. Baloney. There was all sorts of physical evidence. Oh, they have found bloody fingerprints that don't belong to anyone from the family or the investigators. And I went, oh, baloney. We've been hearing that for how many years? How many decades? And that insurance scam, whatever. So I just want to say, if you're hopping on the bandwagon that Darlie Routier is innocent, that she was wrongfully convicted, do some heavy-duty research, because a lot of the stuff that's out there is not at all how it really was.